This episode is brought to you by Cube Gallery. Cube Gallery is a progressive art space in Cebu, Philippines, providing network and exhibit opportunities for contemporary artists with whom they work closely with and promote beyond the local reach. Aside from its physical space in Crossroads, Banilad, Cebu City, you can check out Cube Gallery's collection on artsy.net/cube-gallery. This month at Cube, Countercurrent by G.I. Pongase and Unchained Melody by Thom Hopson. Two of Cebu's young and upcoming artists, G.I. Pongase and Thom Hopson, will have their back-to-back shows at Cube Gallery. G.I. Pongase expands the range of his expressionist visual language with a series entitled Countercurrent. In addition to texture and surface engagements, Pongase incorporates gestural lines, figurative drawings, and other graphic elements to complement the rough, vulnerable, and potent visual feel that he explores with much empathy and restraint. Thom Hopson shows off his fantasy and surreal inclinations in his latest exhibition, Unchained Melody. Luxuriant characters and ornate sceneries complement the peculiar stories told by each piece. Thom is such a clever and dexterous storyteller, with his art expounding on the sensational lines of magic, realism, and fantasy. Catch Countercurrent and Unchained Melody on view at Cube Gallery from October 31 to November 16. Okay, let's get to the show. Welcome to 032 Conversations, the podcast where we talk to creatives, see how they live, and how they do their work. I'm your host, Carlo Villarica. How was your weekend? My weekend was great. Warning, I'm going to talk a little about bikes. Why is it a warning? I like talking about bikes. Bikes are awesome. Anyway, on Sunday, I had my first real group ride, like a fast 100-kilometer group ride. And we went from basically the city, Cebu City, to Katmon. And it was really, really fun. It was my first group ride. So it was cool because it's just hanging on was a challenge. But it was also really great because it was cool to just meet a lot of like-minded cyclists and who just wanted to go on a straight line down a fast road. It's fun because the whole point for this, it was basically a training ride, because on November 22 to 24, I'm going to be joining the End Polio ride organized by the Rotary Club. Let me look up the details to that ride. So, I'm joining the End Polio Perimeter Cycling Cebu 2019. I'm joining the End Polio ride on November 22 to 24. So, I'm going to read the post by Bernard Voncia. After 19 years of polio-free Philippines, it's back with its first reported case last month. Actually, September. So because of this, I, along with over 30 volunteer cyclists, are taking a stand and biking 550 kilometers around the whole island of Cebu as our way of preventing polio from invading our lands, creating awareness to increase vaccination to 95% and generate funds to end polio now. Help us, the Rotary Club of Cebu, by pledging any amount of money to end polio. Send your pledges, donations via rotarycebu.org/ride-to-end. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. Go over to rotarycebu.org, ride to end polio Cebu, and give our children a brighter and healthier future. Vaccinate now. So, yeah, it's going to be cool. So we're going to, I believe this is this idea is taken from somewhere in the U.S. where a bike group cycled the perimeter of a certain state to signify, protection of polio. So we're going to do the same thing. It's going to be fun. I hope I finish. But so the group is trying to raise awareness just to make sure that polio is finally eradicated, because apparently we are really close to eradicating polio, and we just need that little push to do it. If I'm not mistaken, the goal of the ride is to raise, I think, 2 million pesos. I'm going to put the link in the show notes for the Ride to End Polio Cebu 2019. And I'm not sure, but you might even still be able to join if you want to ride it, just in case. But like I said, we're trying to raise awareness, and this is one way to do so. And just a heads up, we have new shirts at the Assembly online, assembly.032.com. We have the Jailed Heart and In the Heart of the City shirts. It's one way to show your support for 032 Conversations. You can wear a 032 t-shirt. So there are new shirts up at the Assembly online. I'm going to put a link to the show notes. And make sure, if you guys opt to purchase the shirts, make sure to use the promo code, or really any 032 merchandise. Make sure to use the promo code CONVERSATIONS to get 20% off. That's Conversations with an S. Link in the show notes. And in this episode, we interviewed Eric Smith. He's the managing director of Handuraw Pizza. He considers himself the caretaker of Handuraw. So one of the main reasons I wanted to interview Eric was because of Handuraw. So Handuraw continues to be an iconic venue for plenty of communities here in Cebu. So just to name a few, like the music community, the art community, the literature community, the film community, they've all had events in Handuraw. And I think Handuraw's been around for like 15 years. I was curious about it. And I also wanted to talk to somebody who was given the responsibility of growing a business. So if you look back to our Bunny Pajes episode, for example, Bunny Pajes was somebody who started a business. And he basically, Bunny Pajes had the full tool set, the full skill set. He was able to start a business from scratch and obviously grew it to something really big. But I wanted to point out that starting a business is very different from growing a business or from making a business thrive or continuing on with a business, because it's not necessary that some of the traits that entrepreneurs have from starting a business, you might be really good at starting businesses, but when you want to make it grow, it needs a totally different skill set and even a different mindset. So I wanted to talk to somebody who is in the middle of making it grow, in the middle of keeping it going. So that's with this interview with Eric Smith. And, I was able to geek out a little bit on the beginnings of Handuraw, which continues to have a special place in my heart. Played a lot of gigs there. And but before we get to that interview, if this is your first time to listen to 032 Conversations, we have a new episode every Tuesday. I think we have we're almost at 100 episodes. This is the 90th episode. If you haven't listened to this podcast, feel free to download any of the previous episodes. You can find us anywhere you can find podcasts. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes. We're everywhere. Feel free to listen to previous episodes. There's a lot of good stuff there. And we have a new episode every Tuesday, so subscribe. Let's get to that interview with Eric Smith. Thank you for doing the interview.
Thanks too.
I just want a quick disclaimer. So, for the listener, so Handuraw Pizza is a sponsor of 032 Conversations. But even a month before we ever sent you a message about sponsoring, I actually reached out to Zara, no?
Yeah.
If she wanted to do the podcast, kay lingaw to siya, she was a musician before, and I think she was early on. She's the one who I don't really know the story, but was she the one who pushed for the local music being in Handuraw?
She actually started Handuraw.
She started it good.
She's the personality good behind Handuraw to begin with.
So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I've talked to a lot of musicians, and then Handuraw Good is really one of the venues that people talk about. And in fact, I remember said gani before kay after college, I went abroad, and then when I came back here, looking for a band, like Musikero, looking for somebody for a place to play. And then I remember we even rehearsed once in Handuraw, or like behind Handuraw.
In Mabolo?
Yeah, in Mabolo.
Yeah. That's the original site. So that was actually a jam room. Yeah, Handuraw jam room, where it was, the walls were styrofoam blue boards. So it's actually like a complex, because that place had Handuraw, the cafe, it had a karaoke room, an internet cafe, and a jam room. All in one place. So that was really fun.
Okay, so how did Handuraw start, Madia?
So that was back in 2004, 15 years ago. I was still in high school. And that's why it was my mom, my cousin, and Zara who actually started the brand. And prior to that, our first cafe was Kahayag Cafe. So,
so Kahayag was yours also?
Yeah, the families, and it's my mom's, my aunts, and my cousin Gina. Gina, who was the keyboardist for Junior Kilat. So she's a fine arts graduate at UP. So they wanted a place where music, arts, life, that was the motto of Kahayag Cafe. And it focused more on acoustic music. So Sarah, being a musician too, and she wanted to hang out with her friends also and cater to other music genres. She wanted a place of her own. So we ventured into Handuraw when we opened right behind Kahayag.
Wait, so I don't understand. Why open Handuraw when Kahayag was right there?
Because for one, Kahayag had a limited space. It was already establishing its venue as an acoustic place. Sarah wanted a new place to cater to louder music. Rock bands and the like. So, and a bigger space. So, actually, before pizza came into the picture, it was really an events cafe. And we were polishing the menu. We were experimenting with the pizzas. And actually, the musicians were actually our first customers. They would scrutinize the pizza. So it would be taste tested during events. Yeah. So after that, we grew into formally Handuraw Pizza, and the music would be around it.
So really, it started as an events place.
Handuraw Events Cafe. That was it. Back in Mabolo.
So the decision to feature local music was really Zara's decision.
Yes.
And she just wanted a place to. But it was already like that in Kahayag.
Yeah, but the main point was she wanted to expand to other genres and cater to more bands, something like that.
Well, so I missed the whole Kahayag era.
I guess, yeah.
I did.
It was more intimate, magod the Kahayag space.
Yeah, I remember going there like once or twice. Towards nang hapit na you guys closed it na because Persimmon ba na siya?
Yeah, Persimmon naman siya road.
They put up their building.
Yeah.
And then I remember the place, and then it was really nice. Kanang we're very homey, lots of like stuff around.
Yeah.
No, and then I always thought that it was like a gig place, but mostly acoustic.
Acoustic siya, and we would cater to poetry nights. So Willa and those other Batalad, they would also be sukis in that space for literary arts too in Kahayag.
Okay, so you were like in high school at this time.
I was in high school at that time.
So you weren't helping out, nothing?
I was like the technician in the internet cafe.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So after school, I'd go there, and I'd do my homework there, and then I help around if they need troubleshooting.
Oh, ba?
Yeah.
Oh. And then you moved to, nag-college ka.
Yeah.
So, as far as I understand, you went to college, but you didn't go back to Cebu right away, diba?
No.
So you're in college in Ateneo, and then you took up
Comtech management. Then I actually stayed for almost a year in Manila after college to try out my luck in HP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I worked with HP in Makati for almost a year.
Yeah. And then what made you decide to
come back?
Yeah.
The traffic and the commute.
Amo ba?
2 hours every way.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm still building. I think it would have worked if I had moved to a place closer to work. But I still stayed with my uncle in Katipunan. So that meant taking a trike to LRT station. And then from there, take the LRT to Cubao. From Cubao, take a bus. And then from bus in Cubao to Makati.
Yeah, that's a real thing, huh? Like the changing.
Yeah.
I talked to these artists in Manila. And then one of the biggest reasons why they decided to become an artist
was because they were commuting 2 hours to work. Like seriously, like the guy's
Really?
like, yeah, like I decided to quit my job because I can make art and stay home.
Yeah, stay
That
home.
sort of thing. That's a real thing. And then the
That's
sad
true.
thing is here in Cebu, it's starting to become
Starting to
kind of like that.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it'll change.
Yeah.
No? But well, anyway, so you were in Manila, you're trying it out in HP. So you were working in HP.
Yeah. I was like technical support for SAP.
What's SAP, Gani?
It's systems that big companies use to integrate accounting, finance, yeah. So
And then-
order acquisition, operations. So I troubleshoot that when there are problems like orders won't come in or shipping won't, because it got stuck somewhere. So
Oh.
we come in to troubleshoot that.
Okay. And then, did that experience help you in any way when you moved to Cebu?
It taught me the discipline, the training stuff for being part of a big company, and getting into a professional work environment.
Yeah.
So being official, like you're entering corporate environment in Makati. So it felt good. Like I'm walking the streets of Makati and trying my luck at the corporate life. Yeah. That kind of I appreciated that part.
Why is it different? Because like Handuraw is very much
Family
it's
business.
a family business,
Yeah.
diba? But yeah, I think I'm not saying this is in the case for Handuraw, but generally speaking, like a family business is a lot more relaxed and informal,
Yes.
which has its own.
It has its own positives and I don't know, pero yeah, and also advantages, disadvantages. But one thing for sure is I like being my own boss.
Yeah.
Being the boss. So one of the jokes was, why did you come back? Because I like being called sir. Because back then in Makati, everybody else, you're the pawn and the, yeah.
Yeah, you're the guy that they tell you to do something.
stuff like that, yeah.
And then, okay, I'm curious if that if that experience really helped you when you moved, because I think a lot of people also, they graduate college and then right away they think, okay, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm going to be the boss, you
Yeah.
know. And then, at least for the people who are able to do it, and then in many cases it's kind of a mistake because you don't really know, you don't really understand what it's like to be an employee number one.
Yeah. Yeah.
No? Like I remember my dad saying his advice to me when I was a kid was like, work for somebody and then quit before you get stuck working for somebody. but you bring in the learnings.
Yeah, that's it. The learnings. You make money from other people's money, muna, and then at the same time, you get to build a professional network, ba? That gets you engaged already out of your comfort zones, so that hopefully when you get into the family business, you'd be more effective. That's the kind of thing.
Like what situation kahadi, something that helped you out? Like when you, so when you moved back here, was it right away? You helped out right away with Handuraw?
No, actually, my mom said, Handuraw can't afford you yet. So make sure you find work. Make sure there's work waiting for you before you come back. So fortunately enough, my cousin who's in real estate, she was hired to be the third-party marketing arm of Philinvest for City de Mare. And so that Sugbo, that place there, that island, Kawit Island, and the Sugbo place.
Where?
The one where Nagokong Way is now building. The one with big walls, remember? Along SRP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was our workplace. I worked there for a year as documentations officer for the City de Mare project. So I was answerable to my cousin, but I would enter our office environment, wear a barong, like that, and deal with the sales agents. So they come to me and they check if the requirements are complete so that the commission would be released.
Okay. So
I
you're
was
doing that.
Yeah, I was doing
Like
that.
the paperwork.
Checking, creating the procedural templates.
So where was Handuraw at this point when you came back?
2010, Handuraw was still managed a bit by my cousin, who was now Manila-based, and the events were handled by Gina's husband, Phil Castro. So it was, and then I would just come once in a while and see. But I
2010. So Handuraw now was already in the Gordo
yeah,
branch.
Handuraw was in Dorado, yeah.
All right.
So it wasn't until 2011, actually, though August 2010 was my formal date of entering, that I actually nagbabad na ba in the business. That was my full-time work na.
In Handuraw.
Handuraw, yeah.
Okay, so when you went back to Handuraw, like they could afford you now, or the person who was in charge decided to do something else?
Well, parang it needed intervention na because my cousins were getting busy. They were based in Manila na, things didn't seem effective anymore. You had to have somebody na tutok.
No one was focused on it na.
So I had to come in and then made a way na good they can afford me.
See?
So that's it. And then I came in and then I had to reinstate several new procedures, had to overhaul certain things.
Can you give an example? Like, what was it nga when you got in there? So I can imagine there were all these things that you wanted to do off the bat. No? Can you give an example of something that you changed?
Okay, one thing is the image. No, there came a time that Handuraw had a lot of reggae, especially in Gorordo. So nothing against, but it seemed to be attracting a different market that would hang out by the tree at the back of the parking and things like that. So and then
like smoking up or something.
And it's an old house, and then it wasn't so well lit anymore.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The lighting, basic lighting, improve the lighting inside so you'd make it feel more wholesome, more attractive. So that eventually led towards coming up with a branding for Handuraw Good na. This is the branding that we want. So we did some brainstorming. We worked with a group that would help us with the marketing, and we wanted it to be family oriented. So that's when we had a new menu. We repainted the house. We upped the lighting inside. So things like that to begin with.
Okay. So more really just those little changes na lang. And that was a big difference already.
That was a big difference. It attracted. At first, you thought our clientele would be musicians and barcadas, but now after then, we've been attracting families na good and senior citizens.
So but then that wasn't like the way that you explain it ba? So it seems very different as to like you're targeting like mga musicians.
Yeah.
And then like the creative types.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what happened is murag did you just think of it as an expansion of your market?
More so, like Handuraw has been there na 6 years on in 2010. So it seemed like at that time we already had to reinvent a bit. You had to upgrade the look because it seemed drab na ba. And when you do that, you get to attract the new set of market, a new generation or something, so that in the end it just ups the market, more customers for you.
At that time in 2010, did you have other branches already?
We had one mango. Yeah, for a time.
But that was like a small branch lang,
that was a small branch. That one pa lang. And then we had in Manila.
Okay.
2 in Manila, which my cousin was handling.
Is it still there?
No, we're na.
Na. So purely Cebu na.
Purely Cebu na.
Okay, and now how many branches do you guys have?
Now we only have 4 na. 4 na lang.
Yeah, there was a time where you guys like expanded, diba?
Yeah, there's a time we reached like 8 branches. Yeah, because we had in Rojas City, we had in Davao, and in Manila we had 3 at the time, and then here we had we had Gorordo, JY, and wala pa here.
Wala pa to this one where we are in
this
like in
was
Mango.
2015.
Okay. And then. So considering that it's not all smooth sailing, but
no, it's not all smooth sailing. It's a lot of issues. Like, I had my sister Zara wasn't back yet when I came in 2010. She was working with ePerformax and Author Solutions. Author Solutions first, and then she moved to ePerformax. So my mom said we can't afford her yet.
So your mom was sensible about it.
So I had to do all the marketing and the bands. So in a way that was good because I got to get in touch with them directly. Like I'm not a musician.
Yeah.
So it's really my sister. So I was forced to get out there and make connections with the local scene. But then that also gave me the opportunity to expand it also, Handuraw being a venue or home for more than just musicians. So one is schools, universities, where they actually ask for X deals to use the function room. So we give that, and then I say like, okay, don't use the room, have your conference there, but just order. So things like that is also a good way to expand your market. And then eventually with our involvement in YLC, my mom being an environmentalist, we also became home for NGOs like Dakila, like Greenpeace.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I also revived the literary. So bringing them back, the Willa, the...
So you reached out to them good?
Yeah, through their Facebook page.
Oh, you really did? Yeah, I think this what happened, like one of the things with Handuraw was that it was very approachable as a venue.
That's what I got. Yeah, I got those feedback too. Now it's easy to talk to, and then not so expensive.
Yeah, I remember, who was I talking to? And then he's like, yeah, the probably other venues, but like, you have to write a letter, and then a lot of times it's, you send it, and it's,
Decline.
Don't know if, you don't know if the person reads it.
Yeah.
You don't know, but.
That's true.
And then I can remember, I think, at least with the Handuraw Gordo branch, you had an office in the back or something.
Yeah, that's where I had office, yeah.
Oh, and then sometimes people would just walk in, and they knock, and then they just ask you.
Like they'll just set a gig if this date was free, like that, or they want to use the upstairs. So it was also during my time that we developed the second floor. We opened it up so that we could cater to art exhibits. Yeah, so and the Performing Arts Collective were able to come back to have their improv. Was that their stand up? Improv. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was underutilized before.
Yes.
That was just there. Yeah, no one was really using it.
Yeah.
So really, you made an effort good through events in a way. Like that was your marketing.
In a way, the sponsorships of the venue of the function room is already marketing.
Yeah, but okay, people get to know.
Yeah, they just order.
Yeah, and then all of these little events also, like they really do bring in people. But then how? I think like one of the struggles before, like with these event places, especially if they're known as like a gig place, is that they'll have like a lot of people go to the gigs, no? But then during like dinner time, the other places like walay tao.
Yeah.
How did you get over that hump?
Because people would say that our food is also good.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's always a dinner time and a lunch time. So even if there's no gigs, there would still be customers for the food. And sometimes the model is we're a pizza place and then we invest in the music is like an added thing, but like it comes out like an advocacy because the food is doing well, that it gets to support paying bands at least a TF for the night and giving them food. So we've also come to the point where we don't just give food to the bands. Being 15 years old now this year, my mom said that we owe it to the community to actually just give them some money on top of being fed.
Yeah. I remember I used to joke when we were in a band. I used to just like sometimes like my parents or something. Like, nagakwarta ka na. Oh, beer or pizza. And then so like, bro, how does that work? Like, let's say you're an event organizer. So Handuraw pays the event organizer, or it goes directly to the bands?
There's two ways. One, if the band books directly with us, the slot, then of course it's that person who gets the TF. But if it's a production group, which most often these days, there are a lot of production groups. They're the ones handling it now. Then they get the TF. Then sila na bahala.
Sila na bahala.
And we offer them, of course, the pizza and the drinks for that night also.
So prior to that, it used to be just like kanang pizza and drinks lang.
In the early days. But then since I remember 2008, 2009, we were already giving TFs.
So it really catered to that. No, I feel like one of the challenges, I think you also mentioned it, one of your challenges a few years ago was when your Handuraw Gordo branch
closed.
Closed. Was it last year?
2017.
2017.
Yeah, 2017.
And then that's like a very storied
I know. Venue.
Venue, diba?
Yeah.
I mean, I have plenty of memories playing there. And then, so I think one of your challenges was that it was very location based or centered also, no? Mm-mm. So how did you guys get through that?
Well, we're still getting through it, actually, to be honest. And we closed July of 2017. That's our last day. Everything was gone now from the place. For me, it was, and then we were venturing into Books and Brews.
Yeah,
and then sa Kanunay. So we were thinking, okay, we'll close this, then we'll open new ventures. But keep the existing Handuraw branches and reinvigorate them. But in the end, it kind of like felt like establishing the brand again. Because people thought that wala na gyud Handuraw after that closed. So it forced upon us to market even more, especially our mango branch and our white gold branch, so that people would know that we're still alive. And it took some time. It was only early this year and late last year that things were getting better in mango.
Like people are doing gigs again.
Yeah, people are doing gigs again. It's good that Draft Punk here is also catering to other genres or different unique music, but it doesn't really compete head on with our style of events too. And it just so happened too that last year, 2018, we got the news that we had to vacate White Gold because the patriarch passed away, and so it was new management. And the White Gold Club had to be demolished. So that was another hit for us. We were just recovering. We just closed Gordo. White Gold was on its way up na after 2 years of struggling. And then now we get the news that we have to vacate. So it was tough. It's really tough. So,
no, wait. The White Gold one is still there though, right?
Yeah, after a few months of being gone.
Okay.
They gave us a new spot. So thankfully to Sir Joey Gaisano, he was able to give us a new spot along the road near Isuzu. And then, again, rebuilding.
Yeah, that new spot is cool. Because like, if you drive by it, you can see inside.
You can see it na.
Oh, it's kind of cool.
Samok lang the jeeps along the...
Oh, well, you know.
Yeah.
Alam mo gitna.
Yeah.
Even before, like the old Handuraw Gordo, like it was kind of, at some point, you weren't sure if you could park there.
Yeah, that's true.
Diba?
That's true.
No?
Yeah.
And then, because I'm kind of curious, because one of the Handuraw, how many years has it been? You guys started
15 na.
15 years?
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's a long time. Diba?
And imagine 15 years of eating pizza. Can't really.
Well, you have other things going on naman. So like you had like that rice meal.
Yeah.
No, but like, 15 years. And then it still has, because if you look at the history, at least, for me on the music side, there's been so many venues over the years.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
They tend to not last very long. And I'm kind of curious, like for example, so there was this, like the problem like with these music venues is that I remember there used to be a music venue there in Colon called Cebu.
Oh yeah, I heard of that. Yeah,
you heard that. And then it was basically a crappy bar. Like it really was. Like it was kind of more
along the road, Russia.
It was like on the second floor.
Oh, okay.
And then no, but I say crappy bar with like affection.
Okay.
You would go there because it was grimy and dirty.
Okay.
And it was like a really nice like punk venue. But then, it's kind of difficult to sustain yourself or make money doing something like that. In fact, I joked with my bandmates at the time. We're like, "Bye, let's just open like this really small crappy bar and you just serve beer and peanuts. Bahala na sila, rock and roll na lang yun, ba?" So I'm kind of curious as to how Handuraw has managed to have like this longevity, no? Despite the struggles. Like you guys moved to Handuraw.
How many times?
How many times na, di ba?
Yeah.
And then right now, in fact, you have like so you only have like the in terms of like the events places, it's Mango and White Gold.
Yeah.
Diba? The other two
JY and North Park are restaurant.
Are pure restaurant.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I think I could attribute it to four things. One is the product based. We're product centric essentially.
Yeah, okay.
No, so you were selling pizzas and beer below zero. That's really, and rice meals. So that's really your product line. And if the product line does well, that means we can support the music aspect. The second is the community aspect, that the ownership, the management supports this community of artists, of environmentalists, whatnot like that. So by being good to them, it kind of comes back to you. So they see it as a home. Like, oh, I want to go to Handuraw because this is the only place where I feel at home or I feel safe, like, things like that. Then the third is we're not pretentious. There was a time that we didn't know ourselves whether we're Italian. We say, oh, we're Italian pizza place. I said, no, we're not, because we're Handuraw, so we're Filipino. So being proud of being Filipino, we don't, because pizza is international naman.
Yeah.
So we make it ours. And some people think that, oh, Handuraw, isn't this Honduras? And it's like, this doesn't taste like something from Honduras. There's a customer who said that before. And it's like, oh, this isn't margarita. This isn't, so, whatever lang. But this is our take on the pizza. Yeah. And
it's really good, by the way.
Thank you.
It's really good.
And so, yeah, the thin crust aspect. And then the fourth reason could be that, I forgot actually. But later it'll come out. I'm like that. There was a fourth reason. Later it'll come to me. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, because I guess a lot of these events places, they relied purely on the events.
And beer,
And beer is something that you can get anywhere.
And you can't price it too low because beer is expensive these days.
How much? I haven't gone out super drinking in a long time.
So you have to price it that's competitive, but also not cheap because you won't make money.
Yeah, there are some people like ilang patong like G's or 5,
not the effort pa.
Yeah. I remember before, like when we were in high school, we would look for like the cheapest beer places. Okay, you go out just with the purpose of getting drunk.
Yeah.
So you go to the cheapest beer places. Of course, none of those places lasted.
Yeah.
They all closed after like a year or two. No. One of the things that so one of the things that I was curious about. So before this interview, I think we were just chatting, and then I mentioned like Bunny Pa has started his business, diba? But it's one thing to start a business. I feel like sometimes the values or the things that make a person who's good at starting a business is not necessarily the same. Values is not really the word, but like but the one who starts a business sometimes is not the best person to make it grow.
That's true. Yeah, like the discipline or there's a word for that, no? But before that, I found the fourth aspect, which is it's like a stroke of luck or the fortune or like you have the connections that enabled you to like move from one place to another. Because when Mabolo closed, our Lola, my mom's aunt, Felisa Chongbian, she stayed in Gorordo for 50 years. And were it not for her, we wouldn't have the contact with the Laysons who owned the place.
Wait, she used to live there?
She used to live there for 50 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So were it not for her and she offered the place to us to continue to rent, then that wouldn't have happened. Things like that. And knowing through the seniors, we were able to know Joey Gaisano, White Gold. Had we not conversed with them or through this referral, then we wouldn't have another place to move to. And then the Luims here too, they were friends with my sister Zara. When we asked one afternoon if this place was free, it was free. And Johnson and Rachel were very open to have us here. And yeah, they believed in our vision.
But that all stems from giving back to the community.
Perhaps, and being, I think, good standing in terms of in Cebu. Like,
that's true. Because people are not going to
Yeah, if
give
you
you
have
a
a bad
space if
reputation.
alanganin, diba?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oo.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so going back
Yeah,
to
going
Kato,
back.
like
Oo.
so the type of person who starts a business is not generally the person who is able to make it
Yeah.
grow. No, you have the different characteristics that makes a
Yes.
startup successful as opposed to somebody who makes it grow. So like you were not.
I wasn't the founder of Handuraw.
Oh,
I didn't do the knit and grit to start it.
but
I
at
was
the same time, you were not handed
The but-
the keys to the empire. Like
No.
it was, it was there, but you had to make it. You had to help it make it what it is right
Yes,
now.
yeah,
No? What
yeah.
were some of the things that you did? You know, to
Well, one is to organize all the operations. So at the most basic was to get a good POS system. Because
so before wala.
for the longest time it was there was a POS system but it was manual. Like, and if the computer broke down because of a virus, then everything is dead. So we were actually one of the first customers of PLDT checkout or cloud POS. So
I think I've seen that.
So it's operational now, operational fee rather than a one-time big time. So I actually believed in the concept because I could check the sales, I could edit the inventory from home or things like that remotely. At the same time, if the computer conked down, the files would still
in
be
the
there.
cloud.
Yeah, it's in the cloud. So that helped us also analyze our movement in terms of the sales, what were the best sellers. So it gave us good data. Yeah. Then the other is fixing the operations, the staff, especially in Gordo, which was big number of people, having a payroll system that was very, clear cut for the employee, scheduling the time in and out, being strict with that, upgrading uniforms. So there's a renewed focus on the people. And if you invest in your people, then so we were lucky to have a lot of our people who still stayed on ever since. So
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm pretty sure I know one of the waiters here. From the old
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
No, so because come to think of it, that's right. Because when you're starting up a business, those are the things that are important, but not as important in the beginning. No, and then over time, like that POS system. Like I can imagine, like when you guys first opened Handuraw. I mean, you weren't really
Manual
part of it,
pa.
but manual pa
Yeah.
because kaya pa man.
Yeah, yeah.
Diba?
Yeah.
And then later on, as things grow and grow, it becomes clear that there has to be this systemic
Yes.
upgrade.
Yeah.
No? Maybe that's what you got from your college degree, pa.
The management degree helped me, I think. Now, diba, I told you the course kind of like wants the graduate to be a systems designer, see it from top view. So I guess I was able to use that because I was able to see how marketing affects this, how personnel, how operations. You see how it's all connected.
Yeah. And then also, like, in terms of the marketing, I noticed that, you guys are willing to try different things also. No? Like, events. I remember one time, like, you had a rant on Facebook, something about like an influencer.
Oh yeah,
or
here in
something.
Books and Brews.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah,
What was
so she wanted to rent this function room.
that? Okay.
And the rate is only 2,000 for 2 hours.
Okay.
And then she goes, you did not allow my staff to get a refund because there's only X number of people. And it's like, we told you that the room is good for 20 to 25 packs to 2K for 2 hours. So we don't care how many people go, but as long as you use it for 2 hours, you have to pay 2,000 and it's consumable. And she starts ranting and she goes, thank you for this. You didn't refund my staff. Please they're influencers. Please expect a review. So it's like, wow, so that's a veiled threat. You're threatening me. Something you can't afford that six people went, but that's not our...
Yeah, you're just renting the space.
Yeah.
It's so funny now when you read these, like, just because people have a voice online ba. Like we recently had this like Airbnb. So I help out my parents. We do this like Airbnb thing.
Yeah.
And we had a guest. Most guests are totally nice. They're totally fine. If they have a problem, they just tell us. We fix it.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was this one guest buying wanted a refund kay kanang something about the unit, ana. It's like, oh, you know what, we can help you, we can fix it, ana. And then also, if you look at our refund policy, we don't give the refunds. But for you, we'll make an exception. We'll just charge you the minimum night stay, something like that.
Okay.
And then started threatening us. She'll put a review online. And then, where does this come from?
Yeah. That's why so angry.
Yeah. And then just because, I don't know, it's so funny now with the internet, just because everybody has a quote-unquote voice, they think
they'll abuse it.
Yeah.
They'll abuse it.
And I'm sure you get that quite often being in this industry.
Yeah, like in Gorordo then, when they said, oh, our pizza it lacked one slice. So it's like...
Lacked one slice?
No, things like that. It's like, that happened during the band time na, so it was niet like that. And then, it's like, rather than not making a fuss about it, we just offer them, oh, you can claim your GC here, like that. They claimed it.
Give them another... Oh, yeah,
So annoying, but they'd go that extent to say, oh, there's one slice missing.
Really?
It makes sense sometimes, yeah.
What? It's so funny that the kinds of complaints you'll get from people sometimes, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with you guys, you're dealing with so
Service,
many...
good.
Yeah. Service is a tough industry, I feel.
I think it is. Hospitality.
Oh, in general.
In general.
Because if you're dealing with because most people tend to be very nice. But if you're dealing with 100 people, whatever, in a day, in a month, whatever, you're gonna get one person who's like a dick. And then,
And there's what you call a lot of customer touch points. So that you have to manage. So your people, if they don't smile, some people have an issue, don't smile. There's one.
Yeah.
Oh, Eric, I went to Books and Brews. Oh, your cashier didn't smile. But you ordered. Thanks for ordering. Things like that. Or the other one, I bought a beer. I paid 1,000. Please tell your cashier not to make yao because you don't have change. Like that. It's hard, and then you have to your tables. There's a lot of touch point if it's not painted well, if the CR is not then there's a lot of factors, but a lot of things that irk a customer or
I feel like sometimes the customers, they don't realize that these are people also.
That too, yeah.
Yeah. Kanang, I remember, I'm kind of sensitive to that. I remember I worked in Jollibee for a month. And then even just after working in Jollibee for a month, I said in my head, I'm never going to do this. It's so hard because you're not. Sometimes people don't look at you like you're in the service industry. They don't look at you like a human being anymore.
You're like part of the automation.
Yeah, you're like a robot, so they expect you to be.
You were frontline, ba?
What do you mean by frontline?
I mean, like you were behind the cashier, like you were in the floor.
Yeah. I was taking orders. Okay. I was cleaning the garbage. Wow. Somebody would. It was a Jollibee in near downtown, near Metro Gaisano.
Okay, the one that's in an island kind of thing.
No.
Near Santo Niño.
No, there's a Jollibee there. It's near I think it's Metro Gaisano.
Okay.
At the time, it was the biggest Jollibee in the Visayas.
Okay.
It's
wow.
3 floors.
Wow.
Oh, and I remember we'd work the 3rd floor, and then somebody would be like, "Boss, kuha ko ka na dong, kuha ko ka ng fork." You have to run to the first floor. And then you're running, because service lagi. And then, it wasn't long, but I remember think that until now, that was what,
And then they'll say pa, sus, dugaya good ni mo dong.
Well, I was lucky enough not to go through a hellish customer. No.
Yeah.
Because considering this is, so you guys have Handuraw.
Yeah.
Under your family business, it's quite broad. You guys have a lot of things also, diba?
Yeah, normally though, we're in the industry now of hospitality because there's Handuraw, Books and Brews, restaurants now, and then there's Halimana. So that's a resort business. So you have the restaurant there and the whole accommodations business.
In Halimana.
In Halimana.
No, I've never been to Halimana. I mean, I keep...
You even have an article in 032 about it.
Yeah, no, somebody wrote it.
Somebody wrote
about
it,
it.
yeah.
Somebody wrote about it. Yeah, but like I keep hearing about it, and I just have never gone.
Yeah, your sister would go there with Tim.
I'm all like,
Yeah.
that's why. Like I'll
there
hear
once in a
about
while.
it. It's really nice. No, but like it's so these are all like under the family business.
They're separate. Technically, they're separate entities, but yeah, under the family management.
So like in family business, by generally, like you hear the thing with family is that there's sometimes I don't know what it is, but there's this thing like family business where sometimes there's disagreements. Not everybody, of course, agrees.
Yeah.
No? How do you guys work? How do you guys deal with that?
Fortunately, with us, the buck stops with my mom. So she's the final say, everything. And fortunately, too, among us 3 siblings, we're not really the forceful types. We learn to submit to authority. And especially when we know that this is what we've only contributed, we don't have much say because this is only what we've done. But in other corporations, and we do see the danger of it, that you can't really rest on that too, only because people change. And sometimes money makes the difference. Diba? So some companies have family codes, family constitutions to guide them in their processes.
Yeah, have you guys talked about that? Wala pa. You guys aren't there yet.
Not yet.
But that's something you're thinking
That's
about.
something we have to consider, especially that in Halimana there are several. I mean, it's a kind of big. It's getting big. The operation's getting big. So, and it's in the land that we own. So eventually, if this is gone, then we're all going to be invested there.
What do you mean if this is gone?
I mean, if we so decide to sell it or maybe or whatever, but we don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So like right now it's your mom. She's the one. Like she's the anchor.
Yeah, she's the Well, in Halimana, she's really the hands-on person there. Here in Handuraw, she has the final say for investments and like that expansion, personnel. She's the final say with that.
Okay. So. Well, one of the things that I glossed over was so your role here in Handuraw is like
both a caretaker and someone to develop it further. So I'm into already developing some new product lines to kind of present something new. I'm always on the lookout for new suppliers to up the marketing on different aspects.
Yeah, this like right now we're doing the interview in Books and Brews.
Yeah.
No? So how did Books and Brews come about? What's the story here?
So after Garado closed, we told ourselves we'd like to open new brands, something new. So use the energy of what the closure and channel it towards something new. So Books and Brews is actually more of a brainchild of my sister, Liana, and my mom because they really love books. So the collection here is actually mostly all their favorites. They've all read most of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So in one thing, they needed a place to store all these books.
I was gonna say, so this came from your house.
So this came from the house, from the resort, like that. They were in boxes, so let people use it, and it adds to the whole atmosphere of. In fact, people are forced to be quiet inside because it feels like a library.
I was gonna
They
say,
feel so wow.
like kanina I just walked in, diba? And then you get like everybody is
Yeah.
they're doing something,
Yeah. And they're talking. They make sure that they're not loud.
Really, and then that's not even.
It's not. There's no like silence, please. Sign there like that. So, and we wanted to venture into coffee. So we're not really full coffee aficionados. We're not gonna give specialized coffee, but it's more of, again, we're using the model of a community surrounded by a place which is a haven for book lovers. And Liana, she wanted to develop her own pastry line, so we made our own homemade cookies like that.
I saw a cookie outside. I think I'm gonna order one. I went down to the CR and I was like, hey. And I just looked at it.
Yeah.
I said, I think I'm gonna get it. Looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the reasoning behind that. Do you
Yeah.
guys have events here also?
We cater to poetry nights. So sometimes it gets full na the schedule in Handuraw, so they've made this their home na. So like there's the Almost Poets Society, they have it here, and several two others also have it here regularly. There's also a film showing, What the Film, WTF.
Okay.
So they show films here and then they process it, or like they're sharing.
Oh, really?
Then every Saturday too, we're the home of Mental Health Hour. So it's a group of psychology students, and
Really?
there's a mentor from DOH who's a registered psychologist, and then they meet here and they promote an open space ba, rather than being clinically just talk about it. Yeah. So they meet here every Saturday.
So it's kind of the same model or gihapon as Handuraw in a way,
Yeah,
no?
the community aspect
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, because it seems to work.
Yeah, I mean even Halimana, like there have been events there.
Yeah, aside from weddings, team buildings.
Oh, like there's like a it's not. I remember seeing once there's like this retreat yoga.
It's a
thing.
Ubuntu
Yeah,
of Silakatsky and like that.
Yeah.
And also Alemana kasi offers something different. So it's not like here where you cater community. That's more like, diba, it's an accommodations place. But rather than being like any other resort where you have to pay for everything, we want to promote the good energy. So you check in, you become an in-house guest, and everything else is free. So you're able to do kayaking, use the snorkels, use the pool, you go to the raft, you have lifeguards. So it promotes a good sense of good energy that you are able to explore the gifts of the sea without paying. Because sometimes you are not able to do that because you have to pay for this.
Yeah.
You're timed 1 hour to use the kayak.
Yeah, mahal kayo
Like
per
that,
hour
yeah.
rate,
So
na.
it defeats the purpose of teaching people how to swim or to appreciate the sea, the marine life. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. Like especially these big corporations where like profit is the main.
Yeah. Driving force.
Yeah. No, and then you guys have seemed to be able to grow without that's not.
Let's not be it the end all.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you guys, make money. Of course, you
Yeah.
guys make a living doing this, but that's not the main purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, the profit is not the main purpose.
Yeah. And I guess that's why also I chosen to stay here and help out you in the business, because it gives you a different sense of fulfillment. You're fulfilling one, you get paid, you make the business is doing well in terms of, technically being a business, but you're also able to help others in their passions. So from the musicians to the artists, there's a home for them to develop their craft. You're helping them hone their passions.
Ito. Yeah, I'm curious. So you're not from that.
I'm not a
side.
musician.
Yeah, like a musician, a writer, wala yun.
Yeah, I'm not. I just like my corny jokes and my
We'll get to
management stuff. Hanging out with friends, I guess.
yeah, kay.
Yeah.
That's interesting because so you're really like, in a way,
Like I fall as a caretaker of sorts, but I'm also actually in pursuit. I'm still trying to look for what it is I really want for myself. Like Handuraw is Zara and my cousins. Books and Brews is Liana, my sister, and then Halimana is really my mom. Actually, all of these are also my mom. But what is for Eric?
oh, you're not like you haven't figured out what your.
What is my, I mean, I'm behind all of these.
Of course, yeah.
But what is for me? Like, do I want to get into retail? Do I want my own,
You haven't made that decision yet.
Yeah, should I set up a Colonel Corny stand, diba? Or stupid idea. Or things like that, diba? Yeah, I don't know yet.
Are you thinking about it?
Yeah, I'm trying to expand on my thoughts as to what do I want to get into for
Okay.
myself.
So, but nothing, no idea yet.
No idea yet.
Okay. So, I also wanted to mention, what's this? Like, so you're part of GCI Mandaue?
Yeah, I'm a JC with the Mandaue chapter.
Yeah, I asked you ganina, like, so, like you asked me if I'm part of
Yeah.
and I told you, like, I'm not really, I don't think I'll function well in those settings. No?
Yeah.
But so what are the benefits? But obviously it works for other people. Not everybody's like me. So what are the benefits of like joining something like? Well, first of all, what is JCI Mandaue?
Yeah. So JCI Mandaue is a local chapter of Junior Chamber International Philippines. So if you have heard of Rotaract, Rotary, Lions, this is also another organization that focuses on creating positive change in the communities and developing young active citizens. So membership for JCI is 18 to 40 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's a gap.
There's a gap. Mm-mm. And then once you graduate that, normally some people go to Rotary, which is for the older folks who have made it in business now, who are well off now and stable in their careers, that they can really give back with big impact, much more impact. So for us in JCI Mandaue, we've focused on daycare centers. So we've built a daycare center in Barangay Gizo in Mandaue through the help of a Korean church. And so our programs, our projects kind of like gravitate around that. So we have hygiene classes, we have first aid kit training, internet safety seminars. We hold Christmas parties with the kids, the daycare kids in Barangay Gizo. Yeah.
So how are all these things funded?
It's all volunteer, no? So the membership, we pay an annual membership fee. So part of that goes towards the raising of funds for the chapter. The others, per project, we raise funds through sponsors. So our Suki sponsors include City Park Hotel, Dunkin' Donuts, and then friends of friends. Yeah. To get things done.
Because not everybody is capable of giving the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-mm. So like you joined JCI. Why did you decide to join?
I joined back in 2016 for the first main reason of building a new network and trying to get out of a breakup.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So I needed a new place to meet new people and hang out with friends, Yeah. So
There's nothing like hanging out with friends that can
help you.
Moving.
Yeah. So that was the main reason. And my cousin and my best friend, one of my best friends from high school, is a member man, so they invited me there. So far, it's been good. We have 3 conventions in a year. So like this coming September 7, we're going to Tacloban. And then in October, we're in Naga. Yeah. It's a good thing to meet new people and then build your professional network.
And then also you guys get to give back at the same time. Okay. Yeah, the reason why I ask is for me, it's difficult for me to figure out like why do these things.
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
Yeah. When I look at it, I'm like, oh wow, it seems like you have to put in a lot of time doing it. But then I think also at the same time, you get a lot out of it.
Yeah. It's also what your motivations really are. Like, it's true, it does get some part of your time good every weekend or things like that, but it's all volunteer anyways.
Bitaw.
And you can also volunteer in what way you can, either monetarily, either you show up on our projects lang, or you just join fellowships. Sometimes people just join because they want to have fun. So we don't stop them.
Just hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think you were saying earlier, Sad, it's like a good way it's something to do outside of work, Sad.
Yeah. You have these friends who are more or less your age. You can get out and you have a group to be with.
Yeah. And then before we end, I want to talk about like Happy Fridays, that Facebook page. So I messaged you.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about? And you're like, give me like a list.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what is this Happy Fridays?
Yeah.
And then
did you check it out?
Yeah, I checked it out. And then
yeah.
So can you explain what Happy Fridays is?
It's actually the whole concept of being a corny jokes person was in high school pa. So we went to Bohol. We stayed in, do you know Ben Lim and Justin Lim and their family?
Okay.
But we stayed there and then we stayed out in the veranda. And then we didn't drink, but then all of a sudden we were looking up at the stars and I was starting to say so much corny jokes and I couldn't stop laughing. having laugh attacks. So started from there, and then I created a CD yearbook for our class. I had a page where it was just all corny jokes. So I made up a story about the corny jokes were found in a tablet called the Cornetta Stone. Right? Yeah. So it's a eye roll corny thing. It started from there, and then back in I think 2016 started the page, and some very few are original, but then a lot are from research. So it evolved to a point that every Friday I would post at least 4 to 6, but I make sure there's Tagalog, Cebuano, and English.
Okay.
Yeah. So my market is...
So I'm going to read one. The one that I like does it. That awkward moment when you're wearing Nikes and you can't do it.
Yeah. Witty and corny.
So...
Yeah. Things like that.
Which leads me to my next question. Why do this? Like, I mean, it's effort on your end.
It's effort, but in the sense that I also get a knack out of it. And came to the point that I would post it every Friday. It started as text lang.
Yeah, because now it's like...
It's full
infographic.
Canva.com graphic. Yeah, and people look for it na. They message me, where's your Friday joke? I've been waiting. So it's part that na pressure on their end. And then maybe for me, it's also a venue that I can grow into merchandise ba or something.
Oh, yeah.
Or I'll have a book launch here, anthology of corny jokes. Yeah. I think that's doable.
Yeah, why not, diba?
Yeah. It's also an ego trip.
What do you mean?
It's like something that's gets popular.
But some
gets
of them,
shared
some
a
of
lot.
them got shared quite a bit. Yeah.
So it's like okay, this made a lot of people happy. Yeah.
Well, no, that's important, huh?
Yeah.
Like I feel like, kanang going back to doing something out of work. I feel like that's probably something for you also.
There are days that you just feel sabaw, what you call sabaw, like parang you just laughing at any little thing. And then for me, it formalizes that. At the same time, I also like branding. So that gave me, I try to change it like every 2 years. So this is a new look now compared to what it was before. So I like experimenting with how things.
Yeah, I don't think I
up.
scrolled all the way down yet. Because there's a lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Eric, thanks so much, bye, for doing this. No, I just wanted to get more of an idea of like how Handuraw. Me selfishly, I wanted to learn more about like how Handuraw started and the idea about it, and like how it's been able to
survive,
keep going all these years. You know, is there anything you want to add?
I think you've covered mostly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Where can people find you online?
In who? Personally or the business?
Whatever you want to share. Give me your happy birthday page if you want. I'm already going to link to it. But, whatever.
Handuraw is just handurawpizza.com, halimana.com. So we're in the major social media places naman. So you can search us there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, bye.
Thank you, Carl.
All right.
Okay, it was good to hang out with Eric. I interviewed him a couple of months back, and he was supposed to come. This episode was supposed to come out much earlier, but there was a couple of episodes that needed to come out ahead due to scheduling problems. But now this is out. I'm really happy this is out. It was really good to hang out with Eric. I didn't realize he enjoyed corny jokes. Fun guy, and and I've also recorded basically all my interviews for 2019. So I'll be starting on the 2020 calendar. So aside from booking guests for interviews, we are 032 Conversations is also looking for sponsorship partners for the podcast. So if you work or own a business that would like to partner with us, send me an email at info@032.com. Sponsorship partners that could benefit the 032 Conversations listeners usually do best. So if you're trying to connect to a community that is creative or entrepreneurial or just people who like to learn, then this might be a good opportunity for you. So We're looking for 2020 partners. And it would even be better if we could come up with some sort of deal for our listeners, maybe a discount code. Anyway, whatever works. Email info@032.com if you want to partner with the podcast. And speaking of partners, thank you, Cube Gallery, for sponsoring the podcast. Cube has been our longest sponsorship partner for 2019, and we are grateful. I'm really happy with this Cube partnership. And if you've listened to many of the podcasts, then you already know that we've partnered with them for quite some time. Again, if you want to order from the Assembly Online, use the promo code CONVERSATIONS for 20% off. The music from this podcast is Piano March by Audionautics. And if you want to support the podcast as an individual, as somebody who just enjoys listening to this podcast, if you've listened to more than half of these podcasts, please consider supporting us on patreon.com/032. Link in the show notes. That really helps us. Every little bit helps. So, but okay, if you're not a long time listener and you kind of like it, and you want to see where it goes, then just consider sharing this online on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, or just tell your friends over dinner. The more listeners we get, the more likely we continue doing this podcast. And it's been beneficial for me, and I hope it's been beneficial for you. Okay, next Tuesday. Bye.